This podcast contains adult themes and language. The views expressed here are our own opinions and experiences. We are not medical professionals.
In this podcast, we discuss our opinions about mental health, sobriety, addiction, and our pursuit of happiness and peace. This is Sober Mind.
Did you press record? Failed again.
Oh, yeah. Good morning, everybody. Happy
Good
Saturday.
morning.
Welcome to Sober Mind. My name is John.
I'm Judy.
And I am Patrick.
Here we have,
Hi, Lisa.
hey, Lisa, we have grown folk conversations around sobriety and mental health. Sometimes, you guys, sometimes the shit gets pretty deep.
Yes.
Anyway, before we get started, Judy, did you want to say something real quick?
Yes, I wanted to give a little shout out to my sister and my brother-in-law. My brother-in-law lost his mother last night. So I just wanted to let them know that I love you and I'm with you in spirit. And if you need anything, just reach out. We're here for you.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, today's topic is going to be, it's going to be a mental health discussion, but it stemmed from Judy and I decided to embark on a 72-hour fast. 0 calories, water only. It was quite the adventure.
Oh boy.
So we did it for physical reasons, but while we were going through it, we discovered a lot. 72 hours worth of emotional and mental insight about ourselves. So we'll get into that. But
It's
first,
very enlightening.
yeah, very enlightening. Let's start with gratitude. And as a reminder, if you're in the chat and you would like to participate in your own gratitude, have at it. Judy, you want to go first?
Yeah. I am. I'm grateful for all the people around me. I am just very grateful that I have such supporting and loving people in my life, and that I'm able to be in a position to be sober and to be able to learn and grow from my experiences. Because before, when we were all in our drunken space, I didn't do much growth. There was not a lot of personal growth on my part. So to be able to be in this space and to be with these great people and to really grow as a human is just, I'm so grateful for that.
Nice. Patrick, are you ready?
Sure. I'm grateful for, how can I put this? The ability, I don't know if it's a return to equanimity, but like, I feel with my sobriety, whenever I have tumultuous, emotional tumult or difficult situations, I feel eventually I can get back to, I don't know, I don't want to call it normal, but I can reorient myself and just kind of get my bearings a little bit easier afterwards. I was reflecting on this and looking back when in my drunken phases or periods or states, it was really like, it felt like I was just getting swept from one moment to the next, to the next, to the next. Right? Like it didn't feel like I could pop my head up for air at all. So we're going to have like highs and lows, but it's nice when you're not busy running that you can kind of enjoy the in-between times.
Yeah.
Enjoy the homeostasis, the equilibrium.
Yep.
Yeah. For sure. My gratitude is for our show, the outreach that we're able to get out there. I've been continuing on with my short a day since the beginning of December. I think I missed like 2 or 3. But with that, we've got a ton of subscribers. And what's really nice is the comments that I get back daily. Some of them are pretty profound.
Yeah. There's some pretty awesome people out there.
Yeah. And so I guess the gratitude that I have for all of this is that I've really benefited from the constant reminder that we're not alone in this. Then when we have, other interactions from people all over the world that give examples of shit that they're going through mentally or with dependence issues. Refreshing is not the correct word for this sort of situation, but I think comforting. Again, like we talked about last week, it's not like I'm getting any sort of satiation by the fact that someone else is struggling. It's just, it relieves pressure from me knowing that I'm not alone. We've sat in despair with anxiety and depression and our drunken woes and thought, man, I'm the worst. Fuck, this is only me amongst, 6 billion fucking people on earth. And then when you realize it's not, it really helps. It helps me a lot. So, all right. Okay. Should we jump into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's
so
dive in.
A couple weeks ago, Judy and I decided to embark on the no added sugar diet, and it's had proven to be a great success. And we haven't really suffered any sort of deprivation of snacks or food that we really enjoy. We did have to do a bit of removal of a good. Well. Look who decided to bless us with his presence, Odie.
Hi, Odie.
Hey, Odie. So then we were laying in. So we started that, and for various reasons, I didn't realize, man, the sugar epidemic in the world, but especially in the United States with added sugars. Patrick, they're saying that children at the age of 10 now are having fatty liver disease, that of a 40-year-old alcoholic. I'm like, what?
Because of the level of sugar that's in everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. A stark one that always gets me is if you would look at the U.S. map and they do the obesity rates, the darker the color, the higher the rate is, and you watch it progress from like the 80s over, like it goes through year by year, and you just slowly see it just gets shaded in more and more and more and more. I mean,
Yeah.
in the U.S. it's prevalent because the FDA allowance of the amount of corn syrup that we're allowed to substitute into everything.
That's the worst. That's the worst of it. Is that corn syrup?
Is pretty, pretty intense.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad.
So we decided to go down that route just for health benefits. And then one night I was hey Aster, I was laying in bed and popped up on my YouTube feed benefits of 72-hour fast. And of course I was like, let me check this out. Not even 20 minutes later, Judy and I decided to try it out, and we tried it out.
Man, I love you, but that's like something like, oh yeah, we're doing that, because I have a bunch of questions, that I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
About this, because we preface this show a lot by like, I am not a medical professional.
Right.
Yes.
And, dietary is important. And, again, that's like one of those things like finding your modality to understand what works with your body and what works for you at that moment in that time and space. I do understand the benefits of fasting. When I was younger, we would, do I think the longest one I would done is like 3 days like you guys did. But traditionally, it was like a 24-hour fast or multiple 24-hour fasts. But to that degree, I also wanted to be like, you know, we've also talked about talking to professionals before, you know, items like this, or just trying to educate ourselves on either. If this is something that you wanted to embark in, did you also study like, hey, what's a safe way to do this? What do we need to be on the lookout for?
Yeah.
You know, like, are we just going to like white knuckle this? You know, how can we safely pull the parachute when needed?
Yeah.
Type of thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right.
I did all that.
We did do research before we jumped into it, and not just the 20 minutes of.
But Patrick, you know me all too well. I took
made
all
your
that
mind up.
research and I threw
Yeah,
that
it
shit
was-
under the carpet.
It was confirmation bias at that point. It's just
Yeah.
aligning with the decision that you already made.
Yeah, again, not medical professionals, but number one, Judy and I have the amount of body fat that we could literally be sustained for 40 plus days or more. So this is not
Along with drinking water. I mean,
Yeah,
obviously
yeah.
we can't do that without water.
Anyway, so I went into, some people say, you know, you should do intermittent fasting and then ramp up to it, or do a 24.
Yeah.
This is something I've tried to work on, but I just can't. Like when I quit my medication, I couldn't taper down. I just like to get it going. This is a pro and a con to who I am. I know that. Judy knows it. But you can pull the parachute pretty quick on this, and that is eat if you're in a bad shape. But anyway, so we went into it. The biggest thing with a 72-hour fast is to make sure that you've got a strategic refeeding plan in place.
Yes.
People get all ravenous and they go eat a bag of chips or whatever, and your body will it fucking
It
stops.
spazzes out because you're not giving
Hey,
it
Sissy.
what it needs.
Yeah. Hey, Fem. Hey, Michelle. Michelle, at the beginning of the show, we did a quick shout out to your family and your situation. So you're in our thoughts and prayers. So anyway, we dove into it, and we're not going to go through all the physical stuff because we want to get into the mental portion of it. But just let me tell you, day 2 was hell. And
Yeah.
so after 48, so right around the 40-hour mark of not eating any calories, your body goes into survival mode. And the reason, the cool things about this is that your body goes into autophagy, which is the rapid cellular removal of old or defective cells in your body, and then starts to replace them with new ones. And after 48 hours, your body does its own little stem cell manufacturing process, which has huge benefits to your reestablishing your gut biome and your autoimmune issues if you have any.
It's very good for anybody with autoimmune issues.
Yeah. Cool thing too is didn't poop for 3 days. No toilet paper needed. That's amazing.
Saves us on the Costco bill.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, there's a ton of cool physical benefits, and then when we did our refeeding, it was oddly enough we didn't go crazy. We reintroduced some beneficial bacteria, some probiotics. So I had some kimchi. Actually, I had a spoon of nut butter, which was delicious. It was really difficult to eat. My throat muscles already started to atrophy.
Yeah. It
after
hurt the
3
roof
days.
of my mouth.
And then we had some bone broth and some kimchi, and then we had some protein, and then we were just back in it. But I tell you what, I haven't felt this good in many years. I can't remember the last time I felt this consistent. I think the other pro of it is that we went into so we quit sugar a couple days before that, and then we all of a sudden fasted for 72. So we went into that sugar detox immediately.
Okay, let me tell you, folks. I didn't realize how bad my sugar addiction was until we went on this fast, and the craving for sugar was as bad as, if not worse than, the craving for smoking pot or drinking alcohol. It was actually, I think, worse. It was so bad that there was a lot of times that I had to stay out of the kitchen. I had to stay away from everything in there because there was still sugar and goodies in my kitchen. I could have easily just gone in there and, a piece of toast with some jam on it or whatever. A spoonful of ketchup, it doesn't matter. But yeah, the sugar craving was so bad. I didn't realize that. And to sit back and being a recovering alcoholic and realize that the addiction to that substance was as bad as being addicted to alcohol was pretty eye-opening. It was pretty shocking. I was not prepared for that that big of a struggle with just sugar.
Yeah, the sugar that we intake has been refined.
Yeah.
This is, like there are other chemicals that do it, like cocaine.
Yeah, and
like
the
it
more you
occurs
eat, the more your body craves it.
Yes.
Because it kicks that insulin in, and all of a sudden now you want more sugar and more sugar and more carbs and more carbs. When you could easily just go eat a piece of fruit and be fine. Luckily, now that we've done the fast, I don't have that craving anymore. It's not as harsh as it was, which I'm very grateful for.
Yeah, and to be clear, real quick, when you hear people say they're gonna stop sugar, it's not stopping. Everything has sugar in it. It's just when we look at everything that has added sugars in it, that those sugars are different from eating a fruit or whatever, because those are empty calories. Added sugar is empty calories in your body. Your liver digests that in a completely different manner and all that good stuff. So regular sugars that are naturally occurring aren't inherently.
And they're usually intertwined with fiber.
Yeah.
And the fiber kind of helps to counteract the sugars, the natural sugars.
Pull this back a little bit, like I want to preface this by this may not be everybody's cup of tea.
Correct.
And I think that the heart of the exercise here is, what did you say a couple shows ago? It was like, if you want to really know if you're addicted to something,
stop it.
That
was from Dr. Huberman. He's the one. He's the one that I got that from. He's like, if you don't think your cup of coffee is a big deal, then stop drinking that cup of coffee for a couple of days and see what happens.
Right.
So you know your baseline.
Exactly.
And so the exercise here is to separate yourself. And we do need to eat. We do need sustenance to live.
Yeah.
But the fasting is, that break, that mental break that, you can get through. What I'm trying to say is if somebody says, oh yeah, that sounds great, they're going to do it. And then they go through the 3 days and they're just white knuckling it the whole time.
Yeah, there will be white knuckling.
There will be white knuckling in the parts.
Yeah.
But I mean, what I'm also trying to get at is I feel like with your guys's progression in sobriety, you were allowed to have some introspection on am I just craving something at this point? Or is this you're learning to discern am I craving it, or is this my body telling me that I need to eat something at this point?
Yes.
And then you're like, okay, remember this, and you can go through those exercises of trying to understand hey, this is my body trying to tell me something, or hey, this is me just freaking out and me turning to food because I need comfort right now.
It
Perfect
did put,
segue.
It did put a magnifying glass on my own addictive personality. That really did put that, it put it under a microscope so I could see my own addictive behaviors with not just sugar and not just, alcohol or pot or whatever, but my own addictive patterns that I get into.
So perfect segue, Patrick. What happened? So let's jump into the mental stuff, and we're done with.
Sorry, Odie's talking about plasma. I don't know. It's Serbian plasma is also known as Lane cookies.
Oh.
They're he's gonna yell at me for butchering this, but they're closely related to a Biscoff cookie another type of cookie. They're not as sweet as that.
Oh, okay.
But they are a cherished cookie.
Got it.
Got it. Okay.
I was gonna say, because if we're talking plasma,
cannot picture life without plasma.
Right.
You cannot live without plasma. So anyway, here was my revelation. After about 2 days, everything became. This wasn't because of malnourishment. This was a mental thing that I was going through, and here it is in short. Judy and I were having pretty decent discussions throughout this. How do you feel?
Yeah.
What's going on? Because it just helped me understand my relationship with food. I enjoy eating, and I don't want to say I've struggled with weight. I've managed it very well, especially when I quit drinking. Lost 50 pounds from all of that shit. But what I found was, to your point, Patrick, I was sitting there and I'm like, am I hungry? Yeah, I'm hungry. But why am I craving what right now? And it was, so I had an opportunity to really have some internal dialogue with myself. I took a nap. We were super tired the second day, and I woke up, and immediately, like on autopilot, my body was going to the kitchen to get a cookie and a cup of coffee and some chips. And I had to stop myself. And I felt really empty during that time, knowing that now I can't go get that. And so I sat down and my notes are over there, but I wrote down that once again, here I was in a position without any immediate reward system, because and it's really fucking dark sometimes when you do that. I learned a lot about my addiction and my personality, and that is how much work it takes for me to sit in absolute fucking silence without distraction or a dopamine reward of some kind constantly going on, whether that's playing a video game or getting on YouTube or just fucking, reading and having some peanuts. Even, we eat healthy snacks, but just something constantly rewarding my little fucking rat brain.
A little piece of cheese at the end of the maze.
Yeah.
I feel like on a lot of diets or whatever, like I could do really well during the day. My hard one is I realized, and I'm glad I could talk about this now because, I'm going to reassess this after the show. But a hard part for me is like either in the evenings, when I was drinking, it was, having a couple beers here and there to relax or unwind. Mm-hmm. And I do know I have an issue. Like if I'm just in the kitchen, I don't know if it's a Midwest thing or just a person thing where you could walk up to the fridge and go, yeah, okay. I'm not really feeling that. And then you shut it and then you just kind of shuffle around a couple more steps and then you go back to the fridge and you open it up and you're like, yeah, nothing changed, but I'm still looking for something. Like you're like, you're in that state of seeking, and like I eventually rummage through something, like I'm just like a little bear that just starts rummaging through the closets and stuff to like, find little snackies and stuff.
Yeah. So that behavior, Patrick, is something that's known to the sales industry in general. And where I'm going with that is we do that because we've gotten a dopamine fix somewhere from that, and we're always sort of chasing it, whether it's subconscious or at a conscious level. I was reading a study about this, and that's why Steam is so successful. The video game company. And Impulse, because they have these Steam sales. People, including myself, I found myself like, Judy, I'm going to buy this game. And then it just sits in your fucking Steam library forever. Because you got that reward, you're like, oh yeah, now I got that. I got that
for a deal.
I have it.
It's amazing how like enlightened we think we are, progressed, but are still at the core of our hunter-gatherer.
We're fucking lizards.
Hey, you got any more of that good stuff?
Yeah.
I shared the story of like, I remember supporting it was a Coca-Cola all hands meeting, a big sales event. And they, of course, I was doing AV support and I'd done multiple corporate events. They have a lot of the, the unique sayings, and like the inspirational stuff. And it's very canned, but the Coca-Cola one stood out in my mind because after they did that stuff, they had an absolute dissertation of the sales analysis of their region. And they went through, they're like, all right, here's our stuff with Quick Trip. And I told you, they do a buy shelf analysis within the reach and vision capacity of a person and why this product needs to sit on this shelf because it's marketed to this demographic and this, and like they have like a ridiculous breakdown. And then they did one of why the little coolers are at the end of the right before the checkouts in the grocery stores.
Oh, yeah.
That's just an impulse station designed around our behavior. And they broke down like how much it costs to have those set up, versus like how much it makes to have the product, and why they have a cost benefit analysis to like down to the square footage and reach. And it's like absolutely mental the amount of like calculations that have gone into it because it is such an established behavior of humans.
Yeah.
That's why all the sweet sugar stuff, all the sugar coated zoomies, as my mom says, is all on the bottom because that's at the eye level for a child. So it's right there.
Yeah. Oh, I love the psychology behind it, Patrick. It's amazing.
I think I wanted to bring up something that you said earlier this morning when we were talking about this, and you mentioned that because we were not eating for 72 hours, you didn't know how to feel in your time. You had all this time.
That feels familiar.
And you have nothing to fill it in. We did the same thing when we quit drinking. We had all this time, and well, what do we do now?
Man, frequented the I will not stop drinking subreddit. Sorry, and I still have a inner chuckle of the people are like, "What do you guys do at the time? I'm so bored. I'm so bored." And I look back and I'm like, yeah, I can remember trying to explain that as feeling bored, but all three of us know that's not bored.
No.
That's scared to be with yourself right there. Like I am trying to avoid doing something else. So I need that, like the little rat. I need that dopamine hit, like
that little filler,
get me out of this state.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's so. Now that we're talking about it, I can see, getting sober is so hard because, like sugar, it's basically pervasive in everything. You look through in the psychology of the alcohol in our society, it is just so pervasive in everything. And I can see why it's such an easy grab.
Yeah.
And to a lot of people, it's, it's very difficult to find that disciplined space to like separate yourself from that, to give yourself pause,
even turning on the TV does it.
Yep. And that's why I'm happy for trends like, Dryuary or Sober October or whatever, because they give people an opportunity to like be sober curious more or less. And, I'm glad that there was an opportunity that you guys could do the same thing with your relationship with food on that.
Yeah.
That's important.
So the physical benefits are there, and we'll likely be doing that every 6 to 8 weeks. But again, Patrick, to the point of the psychology, and that's what I told Judy. I don't want to repeat myself, but I think it bears repeating, and that was I got a little sad and a little bit dark for a minute, a couple times there when I was like, I don't have anything. Yet I have everything. So I was like, what this feeling is because I can't go fucking get a little thing of peanuts.
Where's my Nutty Buddy goodness?
Yeah. So it's interesting. I'm glad we went through that, and we'll do it again. But what I really got from it is that I need to continue to do some work on myself. Make sure that I'm being honest with myself and having those good internal dialogues. It's not just it's not the food thing. It is that. What am I doing? Happiness is not a destination. It's something that takes work for us to achieve. And why am I not happy sometimes, especially as I get older? It's because I've got everything around me that's constantly coating my brain in illusionary happiness.
Lisa brings up a good point, almost like grieving loss process around food.
For sure.
You say I have work to do, and we've always mentioned that. And part of me wants to say is like, nah, man, that's just being human. Like our behavior is driven for a lot of survival stuff, right? And craving these items and inextricably winding that with like emotional needs is just part of being human. And also part of being a human is learning how to separate those two, which you've encoded from a young age. I mean, that's part of just our continued maturation and that's as people. Whether or not we choose to continue to grow is up to us.
Yeah.
I think that's the work that we always like to try and talk about. Is like, we're always going to be, wanting to continue to grow, and I get to show up to do that work, so to speak. And rather than saying like, oh, God damn it, now I'm addicted to sugar too. Because that's everywhere. It's like, of course you could look at it like that, or it could be like, hey, this is a wonderful opportunity to just say
Perspective.
Yep.
I think for me, when we did that, I kept in mind all of the Buddhist monks or priests or other religions and other philosophies that go through fasting periods and use it as a spiritual tool. So for me, I kept reminding myself that this is the time, now that I don't have that distraction, this is the time to start doing the spiritual work or the work on myself, and to start looking inward and doing that kind of work while I'm going through this period to help me get through the period.
It's no accident that we speak of, many religions speak of leaving the earthly desires behind. And that's not trying to say I'm giving up on where I'm at here. It's trying to understand, am I hungry because my body needs food? Am I being a good custodian of taking care of my body?
Or am I bored?
Or am I just trying to seek something else?
Right.
Right. So that's what it's trying to say. It's like, there is that other work out there for sure. And like I said, it's no accident that a lot of religions, reflect on that.
They have those.
And
those
fasting
times.
is a cornerstone of a lot of precepts and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Once I started eating, I realized that when I'm sitting down with food, I don't really have to engage with anything else. It's pretty powerful for someone that lives inside of a
you have
mental.
you have a ritual around it.
Yeah.
Right. How many rituals around food do we have?
Oh God. It's
Thousands.
It's what America's built on.
Right.
America. Yeah. Fuck yeah, man. Eat
Eat
burgers.
until you got the itis.
That's right. Yeah. So, what else did you figure out from the psychological components of this?
I think it was just it just brought to light a lot of my, like I said, my addictive personalities and some of the other things that I noticed in my previous life that I had gotten addicted to. Like I'd gotten addicted to anime.
Manga.
And that was super easy, just wraps you right in there.
I noticed that it was about 4 or 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
She was on her tablet and just scroll, clicking through these pages. And it's interesting and challenging from a spousal or partner perspective when you see someone doing something and you're like, what? This is not normal behavior. Okay, and that you can put that around all kinds of stuff, like that my wife is sitting in the corner, freebasing cocaine. This is not normal behavior. I should address this right away. Versus, just constant. So I would tell her kind of in a joking way, but this was before that we were able to have discussions about our addiction with each other. I'd hint at, be like, that's you're feeding your little rat nugget brain constantly doing that. She's like, no, I'm not. I just kind of brushed it off. But then after several months, I think we had the discussion, like, could you?
Yeah.
If I know I'm not perfect, but this is weird. It doesn't look healthy at all. And she finally quit it. And then 6 months later, she's like, I got back on the manga again.
Yeah.
My wife, it was probably about 8 years ago, had to have a little intervention with me on Clash of Clans, Supercell. That's one of those like whole gambling, grindy loot box, free to play, monetary
Candy
games.
Crush.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, that's nothing but
they're not. I don't even know if they're games or just like innately tuned to appeal to our like little rat brain.
Yep, sounds and flashing lights.
Just needs
little
that,
rewards.
What's the classic experiment where they have the button and then the drug laced water or the sugar laced water or whatever?
Yeah,
and they learn how to do the tasks and everything for it. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is.
Yeah, so it brought to light that, and it also brought to light or not brought to light, but made me aware and step back and take a look at all my other things that it could be addictive, or they are not addictive. I could just use them addictively, if that makes sense. I mean, because reading is not, it's not really, it can be addictive if I read all the time.
It could be, it's a Buddhist argument for the middle way, right? Anything could be, if, again, we've talked about if you can actually get addicted to something that doesn't, but there are behaviors tied with it. Meaning, yes, if you read so much that you ignore self-care and you're skipping meals and ignoring emotional responsibilities and everything like that.
Ignoring reality, because books take you out of reality. So you don't have to look at your... I know, but if you do that 24/7...
Yes. Yeah, that's the extreme of it, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's us who don't have the fucking cerebral cortex to moderate.
Right.
We jump into stuff full steam ahead.
Yeah, I listen to audiobooks all the time. So that's another of my addictive personality coming to the fore, is because I listen. It doesn't mean I don't stop doing everything else, because I do other stuff. But I have stories going on in my head all the time.
I think you're a little too hard on yourself sometimes. So do you guys remember Dr. Drew? From Loveline and blah blah blah, and he's a celebrity doctor. He's got some pretty, well, when I used to listen to him, from some pretty good words of wisdom, and his guideline for addiction is, addiction the way we're talking about, not the hardcore way. And that is, if it interferes with your personal life or your professional life, then it's something that you need to be concerned about. Now, I took that when I was heavily drinking, and I really rationalized it too.
Yeah.
Like, it's not, I'm going to work. I have a healthy relationship with my spouse.
So now you're speaking of the hard part with all of this. We can easily say, well, it's not affecting me. I'm not addicted, or, like reading, it's one thing to say with drugs or something that negatively impacts your life. You're like, of course you're addicted because it's negatively impacting it. But what about activities and behaviors or food where you need sustenance to say like, well, I'm not addicted to it. And you're like, have I really looked at that? And what I'm trying to get at is, with everything that we're talking about here, is just awareness of that middle path. How are you holding that activity or that behavior? And are you just bringing awareness of like, hey, this is my normal human part, my body part needing food, letting me know that I'm hungry? Or am I seeking emotional, relief or trying to escape something? Same with reading. Hey, am I enjoying this and educating myself to give myself either a reprieve, or I can kind of just relax at the end part of the day? Or am I reading to the point where I'm absolving myself of responsibilities?
Yeah,
and
trying to
behaviors?
escape.
Right, trying to escape.
Is this an escape?
Same with any other behaviors that we're doing. That line, it's not like you wake up one day and like, oh, I'm addicted now. This is shades of gray where everybody fucking gets stuck. And it's so tough because everybody wants us to be like, this is a hard part about getting sober, because I struggled with this when you say I'm an alcoholic. And I thought saying an alcoholic means like you're there on the sleeping on the bench in the park with the rosy cheeks, with the brown paper bag, and that's an alcoholic, right? But like, what would you say somebody addicted to reading is?
Right.
A scholar.
Yeah. I mean, but that's not a bad thing. What I'm trying to say is understanding that our body is wired a certain way to have a predilection for addictions doesn't make it inherently better. When we engage something, we are automatically addicted. We can find a way to hold it in a correct light without attachment, right? Where it can benefit us. These impulse behaviors is not a curse. This allows us to fully immerse into something immediately there and experience it, as long as we're not trying to escape something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So this is where the awareness and the work comes in. Is I'm glad we're finally talking about this, because I was at first apprehensive to talk about this 72-hour fast, because I'm like, not everybody's going to get that. And
Correct.
it felt like it came on so quick, and it was. I'm glad that you talked about the impulse side of it. But, you know, the fact is that we had to honor the space of finding the time to reflect on the relationship is the core of it here. Not being like, oh, I'm so done with food, or I feel like I'm so addicted that I have to do this. That may be part of it, but if you fully commit to that side of the rationale, you know, like that's a very dangerous path to go down. Correct.
No, we when we talked about this, we wanted to make sure that we did it the correct way. Even though we could have prepped a little bit better, but we were okay where we were. We were healthy. We didn't have any medical issues. We didn't have anything that would have caused a problem. And we made sure that we read and investigated before we did this to make sure that we didn't have anything that would cause a problem. So when we did jump into it, we were pretty sure that we were going to be fine. I mean, we were going to be hungry, but that was going to be about it. So we did feel like that when we approached this, we approached it in the proper way instead of just dropping everything and just quitting cold turkey right then and there.
I think Patrick was getting to the psychology of
it.
But
I mean,
that's what I mean is that we didn't approach this in just well, I'm just gonna go drink a fifth of Jack. You know, I mean, for somebody who doesn't drink, we didn't just jump in.
Yeah.
To it, we did it the correct way.
This, you know, was it last week we talked about coping mechanisms? This is one that I think that I missed is finding a routine habit that allows you for a sense of self-reflection. And this can either be, you know, we talked about therapy in one realm and then meditation and then the other. But the point of this is creating that inner safe space where you can reflect on some of these behaviors and analyze and just understand your attachments to certain items and behaviors. And this is a very hard exercise to do because we just want to be swept from point to point to point. Sometimes we're just reacting to everything, and to look inward is a very scary thing.
Yeah, mine is with whatever I have, like with my audiobooks or reading or whatever I'm doing, can I put that down?
Good point, Patrick. For me to stretch myself physically, because it's my physical stretching is what opens the pathway to my mental exploration.
Yeah, that's a good modality for sure.
Yeah. You know, I'm sure you felt it too when we trained for the half marathon, and then during that race, you weren't. That's not the Patrick maybe that you've known for the last couple of years. You had a lot of good discussions with yourself and a lot of good revelations.
Yeah. Also some snide ones and some funny ones and some everything in between for sure.
Yeah. So I don't know. We're here in the U.S. and you know we're middle class people. We've got a good life. I think sometimes we get complacent, we get comfortable with stuff, we take things for granted. Oddly enough, I think that bleeds into creating a lost sense of self and a little bit of gloom too. Sometimes I walk around and I'm like, what? Where is this happiness? Again, like I said this morning, happiness is not a destination. It's something that we need to cultivate. But, you know, sometimes I think putting a little bit of pressure and stress on us and taking some things away is also healthy. That doesn't necessarily, I'm not saying go do a 72-hour fast and it'll heal your life. That's not what that is, but it's maybe find a modality that takes you out of your comfort zone. You know, people go on hikes, walk the Appalachian Trail, stuff like that. I don't know. I know Patrick's looking at me like, where the fuck is John going with this? We're so fucking coded constantly with all of these external commercials and ads and Facebook and TikTok. Fucking, I can't.
I think you have it right though. Do something that gets you out from your level of comfort.
Yeah.
Personal growth always needs to be part of the equation.
You commit to it, go do that. And then when you come back, just from that little exercise, Judy and I now, we went back onto our intermittent fasting, which is a healthy way to eat. We just do the 18-6 or 16-8. So after this show, so I haven't had any breakfast, haven't had any calories since last night at dinner. But I feel really rewarded and excited now about the meal that I get to eat in about 15 minutes. And I think that's the meal is another good example of, I like having that feeling back of waking up in the morning and saying, I get to go do this. I get to go do this versus, oh, fuck, I have to get up and go to work. We lose those perspectives. There's billions of people out there like, I wish I had a fucking job and health benefits and a warm roof over my head that,
Human nature is really perplexing. And what I mean by this is we want to get to the known outcome, right? We want, and if you eventually press that to a point, you get to a state of comfort, meaning like, I know exactly where my meals are coming from. I eat more than I need. I have all these accessories around me. There's no resistance at all. And we've seen in the creative space what happens if you give like artists or people are like, here's all the infinite resources that you can do, create something. And you know what? It's usually not as good as like, creativity of the mind comes when you're thinking of workarounds or thinking within confines of something to break boundaries and to push, because that's part of the process. So too with growing ourselves, is like only until we meet resistance or some stress, the body's designed to perform under it a moderate amount. And, like that little bit of hunger, that little bit of drive was great for us as hunter-gatherers. It made us like better spear throwers and like, a lot more attentive to our surroundings, that whole...
Made us more efficient.
I mean that edge of, I'm not going to say survival of the fittest of its entirety, but there's a point there that there was a drive and not just physically too, but emotionally. We talk about this, I want to be an enlightened being, but I'm fucking here now. How do I get there? And so you have to work within the confines of, you got to be where you're at and you got to learn with your own boundaries. What I'm trying to say is the perplexing part is there's half of us that want to be like, look, I just want to be here. I want to stay here. I want everything answered. I don't want any resistance. Like just give me everything and I'll be happy.
Right.
And we've seen those tales when they come true. Those people are not fucking happy.
No, because they're still searching outside of themselves for that state.
Same
of being.
with, I don't want to put a person in a state of duress and be like, oh, look at all these opportunities to make yourself happy. It doesn't, it doesn't work the opposite way.
Well, where you're right. So
let me summarize this by like, what is, it's the quote from either Bruce Lee or Atlas, I don't wish for a lighter load. I just wish for the strength to carry a heavier one.
Right. Since I've been going through my sobriety and mental health journey, I have really embraced the fact that I'm well aware that my endorphin release and happiness comes more from the pursuit of something than it does for the end.
The journey.
Goal. It's why we get sort of the empty feeling the day of Christmas. It's like, oh, well, it's here and now it's gone. It's the ramping up to it, especially when we were kids. It's how I feel ramping up and training for half marathons. When the day of or it's over, I'm like, fuck, and it's now it's gone. Now what do I have? And that's important. That's an old lizard brain survival mechanism that we have in place. It's the pursuit of it, making stuff.
So, our further maturation is just trying to master ourselves internally and knowing that, when to bring that awareness. Because like I said, we can be swept to all these ends. We can be, the path of least resistance is finally granted to us. And then, we're not happy, or, we make ourselves a martyr and, just condemn ourselves to a path of hate or despise. But the point is, we don't have to go on the path. Happy is here. Happy is now.
Mm-hmm.
And how we've talked about many tools to get to that point. And a lot of it's just raising the awareness, asking questions of like, what is this opportunity here to present to me? So too with fasting, if I'm hungry now, what am I really feeling? What is, where's my attachment? Like just understanding this, like, just learning how to be present is such a hard skill. It's such a surface level statement.
Mm-hmm. It's very profound though.
But the depth of it, if you really begin to think about it for everything that I've said there, if you could learn to be present and to seek happy now,
mm-hmm.
despite or, with everything that is going on, you don't have to make it contingent. I need to eat X food to be happy, or I need to have this state be happy. I need to have this person do this for me so I'm happy. Like, no, how do you get happy now?
Yeah, I think it's also that introspection instead of turning your view on the out. It's turning your view on the in, and going through those things and just sitting down and really listening to yourself and asking yourself those questions.
Yep. And the more that we try and practice to get there, and I keep on using the words happy, and the truth is, when you begin to find a path there, it's not really happy. There's not happy or sad. You learn different shades of this. This is gratitude. Mm-hmm. This is contentness. This is, there's I forgot the Japanese term, but there's mono no aware is the idea of this too shall pass. Nothing is permanent. Mm-hmm. Meaning like, the beauty of this moment is in itself. Like whatever brought us here today, is not going to unfold again in the future. We can't live this moment. So it's what I'm trying to say is like, you can be happy and have the complexity of it being bittersweet too, knowing mm-hmm. like, so we can hold all these emotions in one, and it's not just happy, but like of the highest emotional awareness in that moment, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think the Buddhists would call that enlightenment.
Yep.
Yeah, anybody can be a victim. Anybody can be, the hero. Anybody can be the woe is me, or I'll solve that problem or anything like that. But all of those are taking away from. They're all external stuff. They're all this is causing me to feel bad, and that's causing me to feel this way, and it's not. It's. Whew.
Fasting was I'm glad you guys brought that up, because that's a physical item that we do to eat, mm-hmm. that reveals the relationship, and separating yourself gives that time and space to look at it. Doing so emotionally with one person is a completely different story, mm-hmm. right? Or other substances. Alcohol it's closer to the food thing, because the first part about getting sober is just abstaining from it, mm-hmm. right? But our other behaviors that are not bound by like the physical interaction, but say like they're just being around people or other items are harder to reflect upon.
Yeah.
Yeah. Alcohol, I was thinking about this morning on my run when I wanted to talk about this, and alcohol, of course, always pops up. And man, Patrick, it's a complex one. I was thinking about if I ever had a discussion with someone and they asked me my relationship with alcohol, it would be really tough to unravel and then be borderline confusing. And that is, but towards the latter couple of years, I really didn't like drinking. I didn't like getting drunk, but there's the fucking mysticism of it is just so bizarre to where it's making me feel like shit. And a lot of people don't understand, Patrick. Judy, you do. Mm-hmm. I don't think I had ever... Okay, it's not that I don't think. I didn't have a physical addiction to alcohol. There was times when I binge drank, and then I would get the shakes when I wouldn't have any. Of course, having the hair of the dog would make me feel better, but I know that I could develop a serious psychological addiction to cocaine or methamphetamines or opiates. That's why my entire family's dead. But alcohol had a hold on me that was based around the reward outcome and the ritual of it. That was really
the supposed reward, because that was a very false picture that was put.
Yeah,
put
but
up
like
there.
we've discussed before, and doctors even said, with alcohol especially, you are beginning to mentally drink several hours ahead of having that first drink. That's where it gets its hooks in. It's like, let's plan to have a barbecue. You know, we'll brew some beer and we'll smoke some meats. And man, as soon as we start to get that, you know, we're celebrating in our head for 7 days, getting ready to get fucked up. It's wild.
And commercials on TV just reinstill that sense of celebration, or you know, that sense of partying, that this is the thing you want to do.
Yeah, I know we're getting a little bit off track, but that's, Judy and I have said before, that's why we didn't talk to each other about quitting, because we had so much ritual already invested around being drinkers, which is so fucking stupid. Like, well, we bought a new smoker, we have this new kegerator, we have all this stuff. What about the other people in our lives?
We recently had a disrupting event that caused a lot of us to really change our perspective and relationships with a lot of things. I just realized, hearing you talking about that, I was talking with my wife, like, we are very grateful and very privileged. Both my wife and I have like corporate type jobs, and on the onset of the pandemic, you know, that's a lot of unknown. It ended up being very fortuitous for us, but I won't go down that path. What I do want to say is, like, that was a worldwide disrupting event that caused a lot of us, whether we wanted to or not, to reevaluate our relationships with certain things in everyday life. And I'm beginning to think that a lot of the sentiments and changes and drives now is, you know, the world collectively dealing with the trauma that had been passed after those many years of dealing with that. Like, there was a lot of things that broke or caused to give us pause on the relationships of how we operate in society. You know, there's many people that are still not accepting ways certain chains or ways certain things interacted, but at the same time, there are many that have, like, you know, there's been a bigger push for mental health awareness afterwards, you know,
which has been fantastic,
because that gave us the pause, you know, that paused a lot of rat races, or made us realize, like, you know, that this whole, especially in the U.S., the sentiment of, I don't know how else to put this, but your sacrifice for the profits at the end of the day type of mentality, you know, like, you may suffer, but, you know, at least the profits will go on type of mentality. Like, capitalism as the ultimate god is being called into question. Like, what are we really working for type of thing? You know, all these items that we've built, like the rituals around drinking alcohol or being addicted to food, being addicted to money or power or being validated. Like, what if we had that power within ourselves to do this? Like, what would this really look like?
There would be a lot of corporations and a lot of conglomerates that would be very scared if a lot of us had that self-awakening.
That's right.
Well, you know, there was quite a bit, and it gave pause. So, I mean,
that's why, okay, just to make a point, that's why you don't hear a lot of people pushing the 72-hour fast, because it doesn't make anybody money.
No, that's an excellent point too. And, you know, those are, you know, I was also thinking about the value of a non-speaking retreat, you know, how that would affect. And strangely in my mind, like, I was like, wow, you know, I was thinking here, like, yeah, I could probably do a 72-hour fast. I'm interested in it. It's amazing to me, like, doing a retreat and possibly just not speaking to anybody and just doing straight meditation. I'm like, at first I wanted to be like, yeah, that sounds great, you know, go be a monk. And then I realized, like, holy shit, that's that's a lot of me time,
Yep.
inward time. I was
know-
like,
I don't know
I'd
if I
rather
can
do the
do that.
fast, and that's insane to think like, thinking about being a treat where you have like, you're out in nature, you have everything provided for you. You can have food, you have all the rest, you have no interruptions. Holy shit. That's fucking scary. I'd rather do the fast.
Yeah.
But you have no phone, you have no TV, you have no radio, you have none of that.
And to that reflection point, with some of the things that the pandemic broke of all these norms, some of that's very scary stuff. And I think shows like this and conversations that we have is important, because raising that awareness that we talked about is what we want to help foster for that growth. And just because people aren't there yet for their awareness doesn't mean they're wrong. They're just doing the best they can in life.
Yeah.
So the best we can do is to talk about these items and lead, model the way. Like, I'm glad we have this conversation, because you gave pause to me to rethink and doing something like that, or, what would be my way of approaching it? Like, how can we get at that type of thing? So as long as we're raising those questions for others to help, I think that's an important part of what we do here.
Yeah. Absolutely. Fem made a good comment in there that makes her happy. The simplest things: maintaining friendships, educating people, being there for someone who is having a hard time with a life challenge, etc. Yeah, absolutely. Giving service.
Yeah.
Okay.
Those are excellent.
All right, we need to start wrapping it up. So can we announce? Oh God,
It's gonna be a surprise.
Okay.
Okay.
Be sure to tune in next week for hopefully a surprise. Oh, it is, but it is happening.
I said 90%.
90 or 98?
95.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll have a great show regardless.
We just want to make sure the person can travel
Yeah.
safely and assuredly. If not, we'll have another opportunity. I talked with many people on the show, or, in the chat, if they were interested in coming on and sharing their stories. And I definitely want to do that, because we have a very active chat, and, hearing perspective from different angles and, different things that we work with it's what we're here for.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we will have more guests. No, again, Odie is not coming from Serbia, but
Took you a year.
But I'm super excited. I have maybe some people don't get excited about this, but tomorrow morning at 8:00, Odie, I have a video conference with Odie, and where he's going to help me out with some OBS stuff. He was even so kind as to send me a Discord time zone converter.
Yeah, we use that on the squad all the time, because it's hard to coordinate.
Yeah, because I was doing the math. I was like, but then when I go send him the invite, I just put the code in there. So yeah,
he's +7.
Yeah, I know that, but he's like, just to be sure, John.
Odie, make sure you charge him like your premium rates. You got a lot of great knowledge, friend. So
yeah. Indeed. Okay. That's it. So we don't have a topic. We got several topics in the can for next week, but depending on whether or not we have the guest, we'll have something finalized by Wednesday.
Yep.
I'm pretty good with getting the thumbnails out by Wednesday or Thursday. So
yeah, we have some other topics in the queue. I still want to get around to the traumatic brain injury.
Yes.
One, and then we have several people in the chat, willing to share their stories. So it's nice. We got a lot of content.
Yeah.
Like already lining itself up for us.
Yeah. Really, man, it's coming to fruition. I couldn't. Oh, man, Patrick, I think January 16th or something like that will be our 1 year anniversary of this show.
Really?
Yeah.
Started all solo by you.
Well, I did a Twitch live stream in December-ish.
You're not counting that?
No.
Okay.
That was because then I went back. I was like, let me see how it goes. And I ended up in the Twitch zone. And then all of a sudden I, see half naked women cooking breakfast for 3 hours. I'm like, what the fuck? What is this platform I'm on?
Twitch is a weird place,
It
man.
is just some girl randomly doing makeup with a real scantily clad bra on.
Like on the easy access stuff, it's great to have like gamers and then those around that community can join and kind of see the streams and everything like that. But the further corners of Twitch, it's just real fucking weird.
Yeah. They got a lot of subscribers. Just that I think it made me disappointed in our society. Like, who are these people sitting in their basements watching half naked people make a bagel for 3 hours?
I am like so inextricably torn on this because I'm like, to the person making the bagel, I'm like,
yeah, there you go.
fucking go, right? If you're getting paid for just making a bagel,
Yeah.
do it. And then there's people, I'm like, at first you want to be like, well, why are they just supporting you doing that? I'm like, you know what? I complain about like money going elsewhere, or paying to the altar of capitalism and the amount of shit that we don't need.
Yeah.
Like, if that's what they want to do with their money, like, by all means. I'm not trying to say that relationship is healthy by any means, but like, if you really take a step back and look about some of our unhealthy habits that we have going on as a society, I think giving money to another person for living their life isn't one of them.
Right. Yeah.
The context of being ulterior motives for just watching that person, because I'm sure there's a certain attire that person is wearing cooking a bagel or whatever in their kitchen, right? It's not,
or nothing at all.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not thinly veiled, so to speak.
Yes.
Yeah. But then it gave me pause too, because I was thinking, where is the delineating factor of that? But we got a lot of people that sit here and watch 3 alcoholics talk about their fucking bullshit in their basement.
I think that's where the shades of gray come in.
And this is the point where I'm like way down this rabbit hole. I don't fucking know this world. The best I can do is, I don't own the action of others. The best I can do is lead them out of the way.
That's right. Okay, friends, this has been fantastic. I also wanted to say thank you to everyone that we've met recently.
Yes.
Fem, Astar, Lisa, Odie, everyone that's been getting active on the chat. Michelle's the OG. Michelle was here from the beginning.
Yeah,
so.
she had to deal with. She helped us out on many audio issues.
Yeah, can't hear
Where
you.
she nodded.
Like, fuck. But joking aside, I really do appreciate that these are interesting little friendships that we've cultivated, and it's important. And it's like we've said it before, but I'll never stop saying it, that we get, it's like we're all sitting around in a circle talking with each other, and I get a lot of value from these interactions. So thank you very much.
You get enough happy little tree accidents.
Yep.
You make quite the Rob Ross masterpiece.
Yeah. You have quite the forest.
Yes.
That's right. Okay. To that end, it's been a fantastic show. Remember, everybody, be kind to yourselves.
Be patient with yourself.
Thank you for the live podcast and being consistent with it. This is a beautiful thing. Thank you, Odie. Yeah, yeah. Michelle is the OG of the show. She's been on the show. Go back and check it out.
Yeah.
From here, physically for here, she was once. I just talk like Yoda. Okay.
End the show, you will.
All right. Ending the show. Bye, y'all. Have a fantastic rest of your weekend. Be kind and gentle with yourselves. Be patient with yourself.
You are loved.
You are loved. All right, y'all. We'll talk to you later. See you next weekend. Bye.
I forgot to ask. How did you want to set up down here?
For Lisa?
For 4.
Oh,